You don't see the Airbus A380 in the sky as often anymore. This enormous double-decker jet was officially discontinued in 2021, and only a handful of airlines still operate it. The reasons are well known: extremely high operating costs, the unique airport facilities it requires, and a global shift towards smaller, more economical aircraft. But just when everyone assumed the Airbus giant's story was over, China surprised the aviation world with a bold announcement: a plan to bring this massive aircraft back into production. What exactly is China proposing, and why do experts think it could upend the entire aviation industry? Let's dive in. And before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe for more exclusive updates. With China's aviation market expanding at an unprecedented pace, reviving the A380 is no longer a fantasy but a strategic move. Airbus data shows that aircraft deliveries to China have grown 50-fold in less than 20 years. From 2014 to 2033, China will need more than 5,300 new jets, including over 3,500 single-aisle planes, nearly 1,500 twin-aisle models, and more than 300 very large aircraft, a category practically owned by the A380. As cities grow, airports expand, and the middle class travels more, China is set to become the world's largest aviation market within the next decade. After the slowdown caused by COVID-19, domestic and international travel demand has surged again. Routes between major cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen are often completely full, while long-distance flights to Europe, the US, and Southeast Asia are recovering fast. That's where the A380 becomes extremely attractive. With room for up to 853 passengers in an all-economy layout, it's perfectly suited to China's busiest routes, especially since aircraft like the C919, despite recent progress, simply can't handle the enormous passenger flow alone. China also has a long relationship with Airbus. Since 1985, when China Eastern Airlines received its first A310, Airbus gradually captured almost half of China's commercial fleet by 2005. China Southern Airlines became China's only A380 operator in 2011, using the aircraft for major long-haul routes such as Beijing to Los Angeles and Guangzhou to Sydney, and even on high-demand domestic flights during peak seasons. Even though China Southern finally turned a profit with its A380s in 2019, the airline retired the fleet in 2022 due to massive operating, fuel, and maintenance costs. The A380's challenges are no secret. It needs long runways, special boarding gates, and dedicated maintenance crews. Its four-engine setup, either the Rolls-Royce Trent 900 or the Engine Alliance GP 7200, delivers huge power but burns tremendous amounts of fuel. And if the aircraft isn't at least 80% full, each flight loses money. Airbus tried to solve this with the A380 Plus in 2017, offering extra seats, aerodynamic upgrades, and slightly lower fuel burn. But the plan didn't attract enough orders, and the project was dropped. So why would China want to revive a jet that other airlines abandoned? The answer lies in strategy and ambition. First, bringing back the A380 could help China reduce reliance on Western manufacturers like Boeing and even Airbus itself. If China secures access to A380 technology or gains production rights, it could build a major aviation platform for its own market and for export. Second, the A380's massive capacity is a perfect match for China's crowded domestic and international routes. And, beyond passengers, China sees another opportunity: cargo. A modified A380 freighter could potentially carry up to 560 tons, more than a Boeing 747 can handle. With cross-border e-commerce exploding, demand for air freight is higher than ever. Airbus once planned an A380F freighter version. China could bring that idea back. Some analysts even discuss possible military uses, from strategic logistics and humanitarian missions to airborne command centers. But these would raise tough infrastructure demands and global concerns about mixing civilian and military technology. Of course, reviving the A380 would not be easy. China would need massive investment, strict certification, and airport upgrades. But with China's industrial strength and financial resources, these obstacles aren't impossible. The country already runs an A320 final assembly line in Tianjin, showing it can handle complex Airbus manufacturing and potentially scale up to the A380. A redesigned A380 could come with major technological improvements. Engineers are considering modern composite materials that could cut weight by 30 to 40%, similar to the materials used on the A350 and Boeing 787. This would lower fuel burn, increase range, and extend the aircraft's service life. Another innovative idea is folding wingtips, letting the A380 fit at more airports without major modifications, despite higher manufacturing costs. Engine upgrades are another game changer. Airbus and its partners are developing CFM's Rise open fan engines, ultra-efficient and expected to begin testing in 2026. Using them on a new A380 could reduce fuel use by as much as 20%. Airbus is also testing hydrogen-powered engines on the A380 as part of its zero emissions initiative. With China targeting carbon neutrality by 2060, a cleaner A380 could become a symbol of green aviation. While the global industry leans towards smaller, efficient aircraft, the A380 represents a different approach, carrying hundreds of travelers in comfort and reducing congestion at major airports. After COVID-19, many airlines retired their four-engine giants in favor of efficient twin-engine jets like the Boeing 787 and Airbus A350. Yet the surprising comeback of the A380 at several major airlines, and China's plans to revive it, raises a big question. Could the Superjumbo make a true return to global skies? Today's aviation priorities revolve around fuel efficiency, sustainability, and cost control. Airlines want lower fuel bills, higher frequencies, and flexible fleets. So aircraft like the Boeing's 777 and 787, along with the Airbus A350, are now the preferred aircraft for airlines worldwide. Long-range, fuel-efficient, and perfectly suited to today's high-frequency travel model. Many major airports have shifted to the many smaller flight strategy, rather than relying on a few giant jets. This keeps schedules flexible and reduces gate and runway congestion. In this environment, the A380 can seem too big, too costly, and too demanding. But aviation trends tend to move in cycles. As global passenger numbers rise faster than predicted, especially at crowded hubs like Dubai, Singapore, London, and Beijing, high-capacity aircraft are making a comeback. Emirates, which operates the largest A380 fleet, has openly pushed Airbus or any capable partner to develop a next-generation Superjumbo, arguing that even the Boeing 777-9 and A350-1000 are still not large enough to meet future demand. China sees an opening here. If it can bring the A380 back in a more advanced, more efficient form, with lighter materials and improved engines, it could satisfy enormous domestic demand and dominate a market segment that is currently empty. It's an opportunity for industrial leadership, similar to how the Soviet Union once pushed its Il-96 program, or how the United States led with the legendary Boeing 747. Reimagining the A380 isn't only about new materials or better engines, it's about rethinking the aircraft's purpose. Instead of being just a passenger jet, a modern A380 could become a flexible platform. Large-scale cargo transport, specialized military roles, luxury charter service, or even flying conference rooms. From 2020 to 2024, several airlines experimented with A380 luxury charter flights for sports teams and wealthy travelers, proving how adaptable the aircraft can be. With China's financial resources and engineering strength, a modular A380 capable of switching between passenger, cargo, or VIP configurations is entirely possible. The A380 could also evolve into a super freighter. Air cargo demand has been growing 5 to 7% each year thanks to global e-commerce. As the world's biggest trading hub, China could use an A380F freighter as its flagship cargo platform, competing with the Boeing 747-8F. With nearly 40,000 cubic feet of space and up to 150 tons of payload capacity, a lighter and re-engined A380F could be extremely efficient. Logistics giants like SF Express, Alibaba's Cainiao, JD Logistics, and others would be natural buyers. Another futuristic angle is a hydrogen-powered A380. Airbus has already announced plans for a zero-emission aircraft family by 2035 and is testing hydrogen turbines and fuel cell systems on the A380 platform. Since China is heavily investing in hydrogen production and renewable energy, it could use this opportunity to lead the next wave of green aviation. But bringing back the A380 is more than a technological challenge. It's also political and industrial. If China obtains the rights to build, improve, or assemble the aircraft, it could really shift the balance of power in global aviation. Right now, long-haul jets are pretty much controlled by Boeing in the United States and Airbus in Europe. If China enters this elite category, it could reshape the global market, just as it has done in electric vehicles, solar power, and telecommunications. Western countries might respond forcefully, especially if sensitive technologies, like composites, engines, or avionics, are transferred or even replicated. Ultimately, China's plan goes far beyond just reviving a discontinued airplane. It's, well, a declaration of national ambition and industrial capability. At a time when global supply chains are shifting, China's ability to rebuild or improve a mega project like the A380 would prove it is not just a manufacturing hub, but a designer of the future of aviation. And if China succeeds, others may follow. Nations like India, Saudi Arabia, and Brazil could attempt to revive large aircraft programs of their own, leading to a new era of high-capacity air travel alongside next-generation green technologies. In short, China's A380 revival is high-risk but potentially transformative. It requires massive investment, major technological breakthroughs, and strong coordination between government, airlines, and manufacturers. But if those obstacles are overcome, the payoff could be enormous. A new generation of Superjumbos that are cleaner, more efficient, and capable of reshaping the global aviation landscape. The A380 has always been a double-edged sword, a masterpiece of engineering, but honestly pretty costly if underutilized. For China to succeed, it can't simply restart old production. It must rethink the aircraft's design with composites, fuel-saving engines, hydrogen systems, and advanced electronics. That's how the A380 could return in a new era, lighter, greener, and smarter. If China manages this, it would achieve three major goals. First, handle massive domestic and international travel demand and reduce pressure on overloaded megacity routes. Second, strengthen its own aviation sector, moving towards self-reliance and eventually exporting large aircraft. And third, gain global influence by demonstrating cutting-edge engineering and long-term strategic vision. If the A380 comes back with next-generation technology, it won't just be the return of a legend. It might mark the start of a new chapter in long-distance air travel. Imagine a future where thousands of people fly between Asia's megacities or hundreds of tons of cargo cross oceans with lower emissions and higher efficiency. And when new A380 variants with Chinese flags lift off from Beijing, Shanghai, or Guangzhou, people may no longer ask, "Will this actually work?" but instead say, "This was bound to happen." What about you? Do you think the Airbus A380 deserves a second life in China's hands, or should it remain a relic of a past era of aviation luxury? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your idea might shape the next chapter of flight. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive. See you soon.